Every 36 seconds, someone in the US dies from cardiovascular disease. But the plaque that causes it actually starts building up in our arteries when we are in our 20s. Today, we are breaking down the 5 daily habits that actually scrub your arteries clean and stop plaque in its tracks. Stick with me to the end, and you will have a simple, step-by-step morning routine that protects your heart for the rest of your life. But pay close attention, because I am also going to reveal the one so-called heart-healthy food sitting in your kitchen right now that is actually making your plaque worse. Welcome back to our 30-Day Health. If you are new here, hit subscribe, because what you are about to hear is going to blow your mind and completely change how you look at your daily routine. People are absolutely terrified of heart disease. It is the #1 thing that takes us out. Yet most of us walk around feeling completely helpless about it. We think it is just bad genetics, or bad luck, or just an inevitable part of getting older. We get our blood work back, we look at the cholesterol numbers, we panic, and we think our bodies are just turning against us. But your body is not trying to kill you. Your body is actually trying to save your life every single minute of the day. To fix this, you have to understand a process called endothelial dysfunction. I know that sounds like complicated medical jargon, but it is actually incredibly simple. Think of your arteries like a brand new, high-quality, non-stick frying pan. When you first buy that pan, you can cook an egg on it without any butter or oil, and the egg just slides right off. Nothing sticks. That non-stick coating is exactly like the inner lining of your blood vessels, which is called the endothelium. When you are young and healthy, your endothelium is perfectly smooth. Blood cells, nutrients, and yes, cholesterol, all slide right through without sticking. But as we get older, we start doing things that scratch the non-stick pan. We eat heavily processed foods, we spike our blood sugar, we live in a constant state of massive stress, and we do not sleep. Every time you do those things, you are taking a metal spatula and scratching the non-stick coating of your arteries. When you scratch your arteries, they become inflamed. Your body looks at those microscopic scratches and says, "We have a major problem here." If we do not patch these scratches, the artery is going to rupture, and we are going to bleed out internally. So, the body calls in its natural patching material, which is cholesterol. Cholesterol is just the putty. It is the spackle. It goes to the site of the scratch and fills it in to protect the artery wall. The problem is not the putty. The problem is that we keep scratching the pan day after day, year after year. So the body has to keep piling on more and more putty. Eventually, that putty builds up, blocks the flow of blood, hardens into what we call plaque, and causes a heart attack. The goal is not to demonize cholesterol. The goal is to stop scratching the pan and give your body the exact tools it needs to sweep out the old putty. We do this through 5 daily habits, which I have broken down into 10 highly specific, completely actionable steps you can start today. The first habit is all about fiber sweeping. We need to physically grab the excess cholesterol out of your digestive system before it ever makes it back into your bloodstream. The first step to do this is what I call the soluble fiber trap. I want you to eat exactly 10 grams of soluble fiber about 20 minutes before your heaviest meal of the day. Here is exactly why this works so well. Your liver uses cholesterol to manufacture something called bile. Bile is a digestive fluid that gets released into your gut every time you eat a heavy, fatty meal to help you break down that food. Normally, once the bile does its job, your body recycles it. It absorbs it right back into your bloodstream and takes it back to the liver, along with all the cholesterol it contains. But soluble fiber acts like a trap. When you eat soluble fiber, it turns into a thick, sticky gel in your digestive tract. This gel binds to the bile acids. Because the fiber is so thick and bulky, your body cannot absorb it back into the bloodstream. Instead, the fiber drags the bile, and the cholesterol trapped inside of it, straight out of your body when you go to the bathroom. Because you just flushed all that bile down the toilet, your liver panics. It says, "Hey, we need to make more bile for the next time we eat." To make more bile, the liver has to pull cholesterol straight out of your bloodstream, which naturally lowers your circulating LDL numbers without you having to do anything extreme. You can do this simply by eating a medium-sized apple, a bowl of plain oatmeal, or a half cup of black beans 20 minutes before dinner. There was a massive 2019 study showing that just by sequencing your meals this way, people saw up to a 15% drop in their LDL cholesterol. The biggest mistake people make here is eating the fiber after the heavy meal. If you eat the heavy steak and potatoes first, the bile does its job and gets absorbed before the fiber ever reaches it. The sweep does not work if the broom goes in last. You have to send the fiber in first to set the trap. The second step in the fiber sweeping habit is the chia and flax protocol. I want you to drink a glass of water with 2 tablespoons of ground flax seed or chia seeds every single morning. These tiny seeds are absolute powerhouses for your cardiovascular system. They contain a massive dose of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, which actively cool down the inflammation that causes the scratches in your arteries. But more importantly, they are packed with a specific type of fiber called mucilage. Mucilage is a gel-forming fiber that literally acts like a microscopic sponge for arterial toxins. When you put these seeds in water, you will notice they swell up and get a little slimy. That slime is the mucilage. When that moves through your system, it soaks up metabolic waste and excess lipids like nothing else. I actually had an uncle who was struggling with his lipid panel for years. His doctor was threatening to put him on heavy medication. I told him to do nothing else but add 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed to a glass of water every morning. He dropped his triglycerides by 40 points in 2 months doing just this one thing. To do this correctly, you must grind the flax seeds. If you eat flax seeds whole, they have such a tough outer shell that they will pass straight through your digestive system completely intact, and you get zero benefit from them. Grind them up, put them in a glass of water, let it sit for about 5 minutes so the mucilage can activate and form that gel, and then drink it down. The main warning here is to never buy pre-ground flaxseed that has been sitting on a warm grocery store shelf in a clear bag. The oils inside flaxseed are very delicate. If they are ground and exposed to light and heat for months, they oxidize and go rancid. You are basically drinking spoiled oil at that point. Buy them whole, keep them in your fridge, and grind them yourself in a cheap coffee grinder once a week. But wait until you see what happens to your blood vessels when you eat sugar on an empty stomach. We will get to that in a second, but first we need to talk about habit number 2, which is oxidation defense. This is where we stop the rust from forming in the first place. Step 3 is that you have to ditch the industrial seed oils. This is the one heart-healthy food sitting in your pantry that is actually destroying your arteries. I want you to go into your kitchen and swap out canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, and sunflower oil for real extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. For decades, we were told that seed oils were good for our hearts because they lower LDL cholesterol. But that is only half the story, and it is the most dangerous half. Industrial seed oils are packed with something called linoleic acid. Because of the extreme chemical process used to extract oil from tiny hard seeds, which involves toxic solvents like hexane, high heat, and chemical bleaches. These oils are highly unstable. They oxidize incredibly easily. When you put them into your body, they cause your LDL cholesterol to oxidize. Normal, fluffy LDL cholesterol is actually fine. It is essential for your brain and your hormones. But oxidized LDL is the enemy. Think of oxidation like rust on a car. Oxidized LDL is rusty cholesterol. It is small, it is dense, and it is highly inflammatory. Rusty LDL is what actually gets stuck in the artery walls and forms the plaque. You need to do a brutal pantry purge. Read the labels on your salad dressings, your mayonnaise, and your packaged snacks. You will be shocked to see soybean oil and canola oil in almost everything. Restaurants are the absolute worst offenders. When restaurants use deep fryers, they heat up seed oils to massive temperatures and reuse that same oil for days. Heating unstable seed oil over and over again creates a toxic soup of aldehydes and trans fats. It is essentially liquid oxidation. If you are just now realizing that your pantry might be working against you, hit that like button and subscribe. We are building a community of people taking their health back into their own hands, and we are just getting started. When you cook at home, use extra virgin olive oil for low heat or raw applications, and avocado oil or ghee for high heat. The only mistake you can really make here is taking a beautiful, expensive bottle of extra virgin olive oil and cooking it at massive, smoking high temperatures on the stove. Olive oil has a lower smoke point. If you heat it until it smokes, you are destroying the antioxidants and creating the exact oxidation we are trying to avoid. Step 4 of your oxidation defense is the allicin activation. I want you to eat 1 clove of crushed raw garlic every single day. Garlic is one of the most heavily researched cardiovascular superfoods on the planet. The magic of garlic comes from a specific sulfur compound called allicin. Allicin has been proven in countless clinical trials to reduce arterial stiffness, lower blood pressure, and act as a powerful antioxidant that stops LDL from oxidizing. There are extensive European studies showing that a daily dose of garlic can actually halt and even begin to reverse early-stage plaque buildup in the arteries. But here's the catch, and it is a massive one. Garlic does not actually contain allicin. Garlic contains 2 separate things: an amino acid called alliin and an enzyme called alliinase. As long as the garlic clove is whole, these 2 things never mix. They are kept in separate compartments inside the cells of the garlic. The only way to create allicin is to crush or chop the garlic, which breaks the cell walls and allows the enzyme to mix with the amino acid. But it takes time for this chemical reaction to happen. The best way to do this is to crush 1 clove of garlic flat on your cutting board and leave it completely alone for exactly 10 minutes. This 10-minute waiting period is crucial. It gives the enzyme time to fully activate and flood the garlic with allicin. After 10 minutes, you can swallow it like a pill with a glass of water or mix it into a simple olive oil salad dressing. The biggest mistake people make, and the reason they get no heart benefits from garlic, is chopping it up and immediately throwing it into a hot frying pan. Heat instantly destroys the alliinase enzyme. If you cook it right away, the allicin never forms, and you just ate garlic for the flavor, not the medicine. Habit number 3 is endothelial movement. This is about forcing your blood vessels to expand and contract, keeping them flexible and youthful. Step 5 is what I call the nitric oxide dump. I want you to do exactly 4 minutes of high-intensity movement first thing in the morning, right after you roll out of bed. You do not need a gym membership, you do not need weights, and you do not even need to put on shoes. Your blood vessels have a thin layer of muscle tissue around them. When you demand oxygen quickly, your endothelial cells release a miracle gas called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It signals the muscles around your arteries to relax and open up wide, allowing massive amounts of blood to flow through effortlessly. This lowers your blood pressure and physically stretches and exercises the artery walls, keeping them pliable. As we age, our natural production of nitric oxide drops off a cliff, which is why arteries get stiff and brittle. You can force your body to produce a massive surge of nitric oxide by doing a very specific, short burst of exercise. The protocol is simple. Do 20 squats, immediately followed by 20 jumping jacks, and then immediately followed by 20 push-ups. You can do the push-ups on your knees or against the wall if you need to. The goal is just to get completely out of breath for 3 to 4 minutes. This is based on Dr. Zach Bush's famous 4-minute workout protocol. It dumps all the stored nitric oxide into your bloodstream at once. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they need a brutal 60-minute gym session to get vascular benefits. You do not. You just need a brief, intense signal to tell your arteries to wake up and expand. The craziest part about this next habit? It takes exactly 0 minutes out of your day because you just attach it to something you are already doing. Step 6 is the 10-minute post-meal walk. I want you to walk for just 10 minutes right after your largest meal of the day, which for most people is dinner. When you eat a large meal, especially one with carbohydrates, your digestive system breaks that food down into glucose, which floods into your bloodstream. If you sit on the couch and watch television after eating, that glucose has nowhere to go. Your blood sugar spikes massively, and your pancreas has to pump out a huge surge of insulin to force that sugar into your cells. These massive spikes in blood sugar and insulin act like shards of glass inside your arteries. They cause immediate inflammation and scratch the nonstick pan. But if you walk for just 10 minutes immediately after eating, something magical happens. Your leg muscles are the largest muscle group in your body. When you walk, the muscle contractions bring special receptors called GLUT4 to the surface of the muscle cells. These receptors act like tiny Pac-Men. They open their mouths and vacuum the glucose straight out of your bloodstream to use for immediate energy, and they do it without needing insulin. Continuous glucose monitor data shows this perfectly. If you eat a plate of pasta and sit down, your blood sugar curve looks like a massive, dangerous mountain peak. If you eat that exact same plate of pasta and immediately walk around the block for 10 minutes, the curve is almost completely flat. You get the energy without the arterial damage. Finish dinner, put on your shoes, and walk. The mistake here is waiting 2 hours to walk. The glucose spike happens within 30 to 45 minutes after you start eating. If you wait until the kitchen is clean and the kids are in bed, you have missed the window. The damage is already done. Habit number 4 is antioxidant loading. We need to flood your system with specific compounds that act like a shield for your endothelium. Step 7 is the pomegranate and berry habit. I want you to eat half a cup of dark berries or drink 2 ounces of pure, unsweetened pomegranate juice every single day. The darker the fruit, the better it is for your heart. Dark berries like wild blueberries, blackberries, and pomegranates contain a specific class of antioxidants called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are the pigments that give these fruits their deep red, purple, and blue colors. When these pigments enter your bloodstream, they bind to the endothelial lining and protect it from oxidative stress. They literally form a microscopic shield over the scratches on the non-stick pan, preventing rusty cholesterol from sticking. There was a landmark clinical nutrition study done in 2004 that looked at patients with severe carotid artery stenosis, which is a dangerous buildup of plaque in the main arteries of the neck. They gave these patients just a small amount of pomegranate juice every day for a year. The results were staggering. Not only did their blood pressure drop significantly, but the actual thickness of the plaque in their carotid arteries was reduced by up to 30%. The plaque physically shrank. You can throw frozen wild blueberries into a morning smoothie, or just take a 2-ounce shot of pure tart cherry or pomegranate juice in the afternoon. If this is making sense to you right now, if you are feeling like, wow, I can actually do this, drop a comment below and let me know which habit you are starting tomorrow. And make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss our next deep dive. The only mistake you can make with this step is buying the wrong juice. Do not go to the store and buy a sugary juice cocktail that says pomegranate on the front, but is actually 90% apple juice and high fructose corn syrup. That will cause a massive sugar spike and ruin your arteries. You want the pure, incredibly tart, 100% pomegranate juice. I am going to show you the one drink you need to swap out in a minute, and it changes everything. Step 8 is the green tea swap. I want you to swap your second cup of coffee in the afternoon for a cup of high-quality matcha or loose-leaf green tea. Coffee is fine in the morning, but green tea is a targeted weapon against arterial plaque. Green tea contains a highly potent catechin called EGCG. EGCG is a master antioxidant that actively prevents the binding of oxidized cholesterol to your artery walls. It also helps lower systemic inflammation. If you look at the blue zones, which are regions of the world where people consistently live to be over 100 years old without chronic disease, you will see a clear pattern. In places like Okinawa, Japan, they drink green tea all day long. Their rates of cardiovascular disease are incredibly low compared to the Western world, and their arteries remain clear well into old age. To get the most out of your green tea, you need to prepare it correctly. Boil your water, but let it sit for about 5 minutes to cool down to around 175 degrees Fahrenheit before you pour it over the tea leaves. If you pour boiling water directly onto green tea, you will scorch the leaves, destroy the delicate antioxidants, and make the tea taste extremely bitter. And the reason why most people get this wrong? You will not believe how backward the mainstream advice has been. People think they are being healthy by ordering a fancy green tea latte at a coffee shop, but they add conventional cow's milk to it. The proteins in dairy milk physically bind to the catechins in the green tea, rendering them completely useless. Your body cannot absorb the antioxidants if they are bound to dairy protein. Drink it plain, or with a squeeze of lemon, which actually boosts the absorption of the antioxidants. Habit number 5 is stress and sleep architecture. This is the foundation that holds everything else together. Before we get into this last one, which honestly is the silent killer nobody ever talks about, share this video with a friend or family member you want to keep around for a long time. Step 9 is the cortisol curfew. I want you to stop consuming the news, checking stressful work emails, or scrolling through heavy, argument filled social media exactly 90 minutes before you go to bed. We drastically underestimate what chronic stress does to our physical arteries. When you read a stressful email from your boss at 9 o'clock at night, your brain does not know the difference between an email and a physical predator. It triggers your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response. Your adrenal glands pump out cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure skyrockets, and your liver dumps glucose into your blood so your muscles have energy to run away. But you are not running away. You are just sitting on the couch. When cortisol stays elevated chronically, it acts exactly like coarse sandpaper on the inside of your arteries. It strips away the protective lining and causes massive inflammation. This is not a metaphor. It is a physiological fact. Look at the statistics for heart attacks. There is a massive, sharp increase in heart attacks on Monday mornings. It is a well-documented phenomenon. Why? Because people are waking up, the stress of the work week hits them, their cortisol spikes violently, their blood vessels constrict, and the plaque ruptures. You have to enforce a hard cortisol curfew. Set an alarm on your phone for 8:30 p.m. When that alarm goes off, the phone goes on the charger in another room. No more inputs, no more news, no more arguments on the internet. The biggest mistake people make here is thinking they are relaxing just because they are lying down. Watching an intense, violent true crime documentary right before sleep is not relaxing to your nervous system. It is keeping you in fight or flight. You need to read a fiction book, stretch, or listen to calm music. Step 10 is the 4-7-8 vasodilation breath. I want you to do 4 rounds of this specific breathing technique right before your head hits the pillow. Your breathing controls your nervous system. When you breathe short and shallow into your chest, you are telling your brain that you are in danger, which keeps your arteries tight and constricted. When you breathe deep into your belly and extend your exhales, you manually force your nervous system to shift from sympathetic fight or flight into parasympathetic rest and digest. When you enter parasympathetic mode, your blood vessels physically relax and dilate, dropping your blood pressure instantly. The 4-7-8 method is incredibly powerful. You breathe in quietly through your nose for a count of 4 seconds. You hold your breath at the top for a count of 7 seconds. Then, you purse your lips and exhale completely through your mouth, making a whoosh sound, for a count of 8 seconds. That is 1 round. Do 4 rounds. This is the exact same mechanical principle that Navy SEALs use when they do box breathing to lower their heart rates in the middle of a combat zone. This is just the sleep equivalent. It acts like a natural tranquilizer for your nervous system. The only mistake you can make is breathing up into your shoulders and upper chest. Put your hand on your stomach. When you breathe in for 4 seconds, your stomach should push out like a balloon. When you exhale for 8 seconds, your stomach should pull back in. Now, I have a bonus tip for you, and it is the missing puzzle piece that ties all of this together. It is called the K2 calcium director. If you take a vitamin D supplement, which you absolutely should, you must take it with vitamin K2. Here is why this is a total game changer for your arteries. Vitamin D is essential. It helps your body absorb calcium from your food and your supplements into your bloodstream. But vitamin D is blind. It brings the calcium into the blood, but it does not know where to put it. Vitamin K2 is the traffic cop. It stands in your bloodstream, points at the calcium, and says, "You belong in the bones and the teeth. Go over there." If you have high levels of vitamin D, but you are deficient in vitamin K2, which most people are, you experience something called the calcium paradox. You absorb all this calcium, but without the traffic cop to direct it, the calcium just wanders around your bloodstream and eventually deposits itself into the soft tissues of your body, specifically your arteries. That calcium hardens and calcifies. Arterial plaque is not just fat and cholesterol, it is heavily calcified. Taking vitamin D without K2 is a recipe for calcified arteries. You can get K2 naturally from fermented foods like natto or high-quality aged cheeses, but the easiest way is to just buy a combined D3 and K2 supplement. It is cheap, it is simple, and it keeps the calcium out of your heart and in your bones where it belongs. I just gave you a massive amount of information, and I know it can feel completely overwhelming. Do not try to do all of this tomorrow. If you try to change 10 things at once, you will fail, you will get frustrated, and you will quit. I want you to do this incredibly simple 1, 2, 3 action plan instead. Number 1, tonight, go into your kitchen and throw out just 1 bottle of toxic seed oil. Take the canola oil, put it in the trash, and replace it with olive oil. That is it. Just 1 bottle. Number 2, tomorrow morning when your feet hit the floor, do exactly 2 minutes of squats or jumping jacks right next to your bed. Do not put on gym clothes. Just wake up, move, get out of breath, and dump that nitric oxide into your system to wake up your arteries. Number 3, tomorrow at dinner, eat 1 apple or a small handful of raw almonds exactly 20 minutes before you sit down to eat your main meal. Set the soluble fiber trap and let it sweep out the bile. Heart disease is not just an inevitable part of getting older. You are not broken, and your genetics do not have to be your destiny. Your body is a miraculous, self-healing machine. It desperately wants to heal. You just have to stop scratching the non-stick pan and give it the exact right tools to sweep out the rust. You do not need a massive overhaul to save your life. You just need small, consistent daily habits. Start with just step 1 today. You have got this.